Hey, it's Matt here from Henry Schein. Just going to attempt at this late hour of the night at 9:30 to do a quick video taking you through the Trios scanner, the software that you can use in that to help get case acceptance higher. Integrating in Clear Aligner Studio so you can see the workflow, so down the track you know what's involved, and also the 3D printer. So that's going to be the NextDent 5100 software I'm going to show you today. So first things first, this is the 3Shape software. So you've got patients, cases, calendar. I'm going to go to new case within me as a patient, and I'm going to do a scan in my mouth. So I'm just going to choose today in-house, and then we're going to choose today treatment simulator. I choose Smile Design, and patient monitoring is going to be open because obviously I've done previous scans of my mouth before. So now I don't have an image of myself on here, but I'll just add in an image just to get us through to see how it all works. Perfect. All good. So after this is done, image in, we can go scan only as well. Next. First part of Smile Design is what it says up here. Click on the pupils first, nasal wings, and corners of the mouth. After that's done, we just have to create the lip line. You could use this, this is a restorative tool. You can also use this for teeth whitening to show people what they could potentially look like after whitening their teeth. So after the outline is done, we can then start to give the patient slightly new smile now. So you can move your teeth around. You can change by adjusting all this. You can change the shape that you want the teeth to be. This is obviously set to symmetric design. So you can edit stuff as much or as little as you like. Obviously you never want to produce, you don't want to give the patient hope where there is none. So don't give them something that you know that you can't achieve. But long and short of it, you can just do a quick edit like something like this. Get the smile roughly where you want it to be, and if you're happy with it, you can change the shape also within the library here. There's also freeform tools, mirror tools, measuring tools. But once that's done, you can then bring their smile into play. So that's her now with Smile Design done. So you can adjust the shade, you can adjust the brightness. So if you wanted to try and show them, there's also this little nudge tool that if you wanted to bring gingerbread down or cover any areas, you can. So then you can show them before and after what they could look like after doing a ortho case or teeth whitening, or obviously this is also used for doing full arch, veneers and stuff like that, say a six anterior veneers. So after that's done, you've shown the patient what they could look like with a new smile. We can go into the next step and start scanning. So I'll quickly scan my own mouth. We'll test out how quick I am. So that's everything picked up there on the lower. Now it will try to delete any data that we don't need. So if there's anything that you did want to pick up from there, you can go back and you can try and scan in certain areas. So let's say if you wanted to just pick up this little section up here. Oh. Oh, it's going to fill that in for us, so we're okay. I'll just go trim all patches to trim up any data that we don't need. Next. Okay, now time to do our upper. So that's our upper scan now. And now we can go into our bite. Now keep in mind as well, after you've done a scan, you can use the scanner as a wand to go from one step to the next. So now we're on to our bite. Is one side done? There's the next side done. So pretty easily you can see scanning speed, once you get pretty decent at it, it's going to be about a minute to do a full arch scan, something like that. Now after this is done, we can also use the patient motion, patient specific motion. So then you can show the patient the real wear, why they're wearing on certain teeth. And then from here, we can obviously start to use patient monitoring and the treatment simulator. So after the scans have post-processed, it's going to take us into this step. And what happens is from here, the software starts to segment the teeth automatically. And then after it segments them, obviously it will then show us where teeth have moved to, where they've worn. And it's going to give us a good indication to show the patient, hey, look, your teeth are moving really nicely. Or, hey, your teeth has moved. This is why we need to do a clear aligner. Or your teeth have worn, so this is why we need to do a splint. So after the teeth have all segmented, it's going to look like this. And then we can start to accept and continue that we're happy with the segmentation. It's now going to align previous scans up to our current scan. So you can see just there where it's aligned it. We're going to accept and continue. Once again, accept and continue. And then we can start to compare. So from here, we can go into a simulation. So within the simulation, you can hit play. So now you could show the patient how much their teeth have moved throughout the course of treatment. So you can see here all the different scans that I've done. And so this is a good indication to show patients how successful everything's going. So there's that, and then obviously you've got the measurements as well. So you can bring in tooth comparison, or you can bring in scan comparison. So you can see obviously when I've done scans and I haven't brushed my teeth in the morning compared to other ones, and then you can bring in individual arches. So from here you can pick and choose between certain scans and see the comparison between the two. Do a cross section as well. So by doing a cross section, you can come across, and then within the cross section you can see how much tartar I had in my tooth at that point in time when I scanned. So from here, we can go next, and what it's going to do now is it's going to take us into treatment simulator. I'll just close that down. So you can see this is before and this is after. So it's fixed up my midline, and then if you wanted to, you can use the adjustments tab. You can click on a tooth and you can start to adjust certain teeth around, just to give the patient a bit of a overview of what they could look like if they decided to go ahead with some sort of a clear aligner treatment. So it's not this is what you're going to look like, but it's a guide so that you can try and get that first initial yes to try and get the treatment approved. So after you've done that, so that's our scan. So technically speaking, if you had Clear Aligner Studio, you would export or send that scan to your folder. So I'm just going to quickly export this as an STL for us today, and I'm going to call it Matthew Clear. That'll do. So just on our desktop, save. So now we can open up our ortho software. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Ortho Analyzer. So Ortho Analyzer is where we start to do our segmenting, and we can start to move teeth around. So let's go search for our patients. Matthew. Just going to go new model set. New model set. Let's just call this clear. Create. Now it's going to give us the option to import in upper and lower. So maxillary. Now this was saved to my desktop. And what did I call it? I called it Matthew Clear Upper. Open. And mandibular. Matthew Clear Lower. And if you had a CT, you can merge that in there as well. We can hit load. And now I've created a workflow down here. So once you've loaded them in, you can choose a workflow. So clear aligner workflow. So first thing it asks us to do is set the occlusal plane. First thing, so going to set this up. Now there is another feature which I haven't added in here as well, but you can if you wanted to set your occlusal plane a different way, but that's everything all set up pretty close to where we want it. So we can go next, set points. So now you can see this tooth here is missing, so you can go right click, missing, this tooth, left click, and then followed by right click, hit missing, and now we can start to do our workflow. So it asks us here to do set distal mesial contact points. So 1, 2, and then you can see it moves on to the next tooth. 1, 2. So this is going to set our tooth axis points, which you can also edit as well. So once that's done, you can also adjust the tooth axis as well. So you can see here, you can start to move it and adjust it to how you like. Click on each tooth individually. So you can see you can move and edit it as you like. Now, once again, if you had have merged the cone beam in here, it's going to allow you to actually set that up with the actual tooth axis. After that's all done, you can also use this as well. So you can point to certain cusps in there as well, which you don't have to do that, and you don't have to do the axis at that point in time. You can do it later as well. Define cut. So what the software is going to do, it's going to ask us to, from here, after it segments the teeth. So let's just go skip. So you can see here it struggled to segment certain teeth. So 3.7. So if we come over to 3.7, and let's just go to segment tooth manually. So segment tooth manually, start manual edit. Now, I'd say 90% of the time it will segment the teeth pretty well. You won't have to do this, but you know, for my demo, I just had to do that for me. So now that that's segmented, you can go around and just check each tooth individually if you're happy with each tooth, the segmentation. We can move on to our next step. Once they're segmented, we can sculpt it and smooth anything off that we wanted to. So there's going to be a little sharp line at each tooth where it segments it. So you can go in there and just smooth that off so that when it does a clear aligner over the top, it's nice and smooth where they join. So there we go. So each one is now segmented. So you can say bring out the gum, so you can see just where it's segmented, that little sharp line. So if you wanted to use the smooth tool, you could just really briefly go around and use a smooth. So you can adjust the size, you can adjust how aggressive it is. So if you wanted to just really quickly smooth off a certain area, you can. You just click on each tooth. So is this really necessary? Some people do it, some people don't. Obviously it depends on how much time you've got. So now we're in the rotation center. So once again, this is where if you had the cone beam, you can rotate and adjust your axis to the correct point where your root is. So on each tooth, basically I'm just going to move this to around about, we're going to make that our axis point around about 1/2 mil or something like that, just below where it's taken the tooth to here. And then also on every tooth, you can adjust the angles there if you wanted to as well. After that's done, we can do all the same steps on the upper. So once again, we can start to draw all of our points, mesial or distal mesial, and it will start to move around as we do this. From there, you can adjust your axis points once again. You can really quickly do this, but you can also do it at a later step as well. To fine cut, it's going to segment the teeth once again. If it struggles on any teeth, we can do it manually as well. There we go, it segmented the teeth really well for us on the upper. Just have a quick look around, make sure I'm happy with the segmentation of all this. So if it struggles anywhere, you can just highlight a tooth and you can start to edit this out and just pull each tooth out to where you need it to be. Once again, we can do the sculpt, smooth it all off, and then rotation center once again is going to allow us to adjust the axis point of the tooth to where if you wanted to on a cone beam. So now I'm not going to go and smooth everything off on this one. We're just going to go straight into rotation center, and then we can start to edit this and move this around. So what I'll do, once again, eliminate the gum, and we're just going to adjust our rotation on all of our teeth. So we'll start over here. After that, we can go next. It's going to hit accept, and we can start to move our teeth around. So within the teeth movements, now I'll just highlight a tooth. I'll bring the gum back in, eliminate the lower, and you can see you can highlight a tooth. Now you can start to do some movements. So you can see you can start to rotate it around. You can move it individually, so you can drag, pull, rotate. So you can move teeth around now. You can start to really play around. Now, I'm not going to do the perfect arts for you today, but I'm just going to briefly show you what you can do within the software. You can, within the software, it allows you to do interproximal reductions. Now, once again, I'm not an orthodontist, so I apologise if you're crying over my movements here. But really quickly, you can see, you can get the idea and the gist of the way that you can move things around. So there's that interproximal reduction. Yeah, so you can highlight a tooth and you can basically do automatic stripping here for interproximal reduction if you needed to on a certain tooth. Extract teeth, stripping for interproximal. You can add attachments, 3Shape standard attachment, so you can also, let's say in the attachment, so let's just click on this tooth here. Rather than a ball, we'll just make it a box, so you can click on a tooth and you can start to rotate this around, make it smaller. So that if you needed to have something like this on there, you can start to place your where you want this kind of stuff. Depending on how bad the bite is going to depend on, or how bad the person's mouth is going to depend on how long you're going to spend editing and moving and whatnot with interproximal reductions and so on and so forth. So, and also comparing it to the upper as well. I'm just going to run with that for now because, quite frankly, I could be here a while fixing my mouth, I'd say, especially with my midline. So bring your upper in. So you can see there's contacts there, so you wouldn't move it there. So you'd move the teeth around a little bit better than what I have there. After that's done, you can go next, you can generate a report. But before we actually generate a report, if I just go back, so within here, we can highlight, we'll double click here, and you can see how subdivide set up. So you can see translation per aligner, rotation per aligner, so you can adjust this. So 0.25, 0.5. So depending on, so you can set it up. You can do, set up count 23, or you can adjust this to, I want this to be 15 aligners, and then it's going to give you your measurements there. So we can go OK. So now you can see how it's given us 15 aligners here, and then you can open with original attachments, so you can highlight from here, or subset up 1 all the way through, export setups and setup and staging timeline. So you can see here, it'll give you the full report there, and once again, it's all highlighted so we can export it. So you can see here how you can export it as lower upper model set. So I'm just going to export this as a model set. Okay, so now that they've finished saving, we can go next. It'll generate a report for us, and we can save session, or we can go done. So just up here, just so you know, that's where you merge the cone beam as well. So we'll close out here. The file has been modified. Do you want to save the changes? Let's go yes. So what we can do now, we can go into Appliance Designer. So within Appliance Designer, now it's going to allow us to create models out of what we just did. Search. So Matthew Searle. So now you can see all of our sub setups. So let's say sub setup 1 all the way through, to whatnot. Now let's go sub setup 1. We can go prepare model set. depending on how many models you wanted to print in the get-go, let's just go next. Define cut. So let's go clear. Let's try that again. Define cut. I double click there. So we just want to quickly draw around maxillary. Doesn't have to be perfect. So we are. So now that's going to basically define a line that the model can be drawn to. Go, fit base. Now, if you wanted full arch, or if you wanted to do, for us, if we're just doing suck downs, we can go literally something like that, rather than a full ortho model. So you can see we can generate that now. You can go next, create base, and in the create base, we can now just cut that down using planes, and we'll just trim it up so that it's not as big. Within the software as well, so you can see now that that's done, we can eliminate the lower. We'll just look at the upper. So if we go next, within here, so you've got these plane cuts, slice. So you can use whatever view you're on is going to be the slice tool. So I'm going to use from this view, I'm just going to use this, the curve tool. So what this is going to do is eliminate, or move that around. Perfect. So from here, after we do that final last little edit, you can see how much it's sliced. So you've got this plane cut as well. So with the plane cut, you can just come and draw a line like that. So we only want to try and keep that information there. We don't want any more than that. And you can hit play. Now it's going to obviously eliminate all of that. So all of a sudden you can see what we're printing out is a lot less in terms of resin. So our next step, obviously you can do that on the mandibular as well. Export models. So now what you can do is we can go into that file directory where it gets saved to, and 3Shape, and it is ortho data, and you can see all of our sub setups here. Sub setup 1. So what we can do now, after we've exported our scans, we can open up 3D Sprint, which is 3D, oh, sorry, I just clicked on the wrong one. So once we've got all of our sub setups here exported, we can go into our 3D printer software, and now what we can do is start to drag and drop. So print, prepare. So file, you can go import, import parts in a project, or you can go open. Okay, so it's late at night, and I apologise for this not being perfectly right for us tonight, but I get a 30-day license, obviously, with my 3D Sprint, and which is the NextDent software, and my license is expired. Because I'm at home, I can't connect up to the printer to get it all connected up and running again. But essentially with 3D Sprint, you grab your file, you bring it into here. Once you click on your model, you'd have your printer set within here. You choose your, essentially this has got a few more things because my printer's not, because my printer's not connected. You choose material, shade, print mode, build style. So you choose all those settings, and then within here you could go transform. You can start to rotate this around, and then after there you can go, it doesn't have prepare. Doesn't have all the tools on here. I can quickly show you in Preform, which works slightly different to the NextPrint, but keep in mind the Preform is not as fast as what the NextDent printer is, but it's still a similar concept of how to move and orientate a model around. Once again, we can go into wherever the file was we saved that we had. We could bring in a maxillary mandibular. Cool. And for us, something like this. And we'll just bring this here. So you can see basically the NextDent and the Formlabs are pretty similar structure. In terms of how you orientate them around. So the Formlabs has got a larger build platform, but a lot slower. So you get the concept. So that's easy to print. You could just go down here and hit print, start a print, obviously, and then from there, upload job, and then it will start to upload onto the printer. And then on the printer, you just hit print. So pretty similar concept. As I said, that would mostly, those two models would take, I'd guess maybe 4 hours on the Formlabs printer. On the NextDent, that would mostly, I imagine, take about 20 minutes to print. So that is my demo for tonight. So sorry the printer side didn't go quite the way I wanted to. It is late, and obviously without having a printer at home, it makes it a little bit harder, clearly, to finish off this final part. But that gives you the gist. So thank you, and enjoy.